Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you've got a bit lost. Welcome everyone, I'm Chatty, this is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I'm going to be chatting away madly about some picture books. So I am taking part in the Picture This Readathon, which has been created by Jack from Spread Book Joy. It's been going for a number of years now, and her co-host is Shelley from Shelley Swearington, and I will pop both of their announcement videos in the description box so you can go and check them out. I actually didn't realise, actually no, I'll come on to that in a little bit. The chaos has already begun. I have no idea what I'm saying. So if you've not been on my channel before, quite often I just do one continuous take and just don't edit it, because then I get to upload it and it's out in the world. Editing takes a long time, so I'm trying to cut some corners. So that means you get chaos. So cheers everyone. I have a big mug of tea. I haven't got my little gimmick mug because they're upstairs, and I'm not going to get them because my children are asleep. But that does mean that I get to do this video in a moment of peace. Moment of peace. So I'm going to be talking about what my TBR is going to be for Picture This year. And then I'm going to be pausing this camera, reading each picture book and talking about them. So it's a sort of like a vlog, but it's not going to take me that long to do. So cheers everyone. Clink, 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 clink. Good tea. I've got a Pooh Bear mug today because it's very nice and cozy and is in a picture book. So there we go. So Picture This is all about adults enjoying picture books, which we do. So yay for that. Let's do more of that. And this year, Jack and Shelley have done all of their clues to honour the memory of Alice. Alice was a really big supporter of Picture This. She was a champion of picture books and shared a lot of that on her channel. So to honour her memory, all of the prompts are connected to Alice. Every year, Jack and Shelley do 6 words, and those are the prompts for Picture This. So this time, all of the 6 words have something to do with Alice. This is a bit I was going to mention. So in Jack's video, I didn't realise, so watched it through again whilst I was making a note of the prompts. And when the first time I watched it, I was also watching it whilst doing things, so I wasn't always looking at the screen. And I didn't realise that whilst she was talking and explaining things, she had shots of Alice from her channel, Alice with her cat, Alice showing off picture books, and it was so lovely. So if you have the visuals, enjoy those moments as well. If you don't have the visuals, Jack also has links to different Picture This relevant videos from Alice's channel. I will also link one in the description box here as well. And do you know what? I'll put a little link in here as well. So go and look at Alice. She is so warm. She is so enthusiastic and has such a lovely approach to reading and talking about books. It will give you joy, and her memory lives on in all of her empowering of the reading for everyone. So the first prompt is cats. And this is because Alice loved cats. She had a pet cat, and so reading any book that has to do with cats. So for this, I actually have 2, and I'm just going to read both of them because I can't decide which one to go for. So these 2 are library books. I was originally thinking of Six Dinner Sid, but I think that's actually at my mum's house because I can't find it. I love Six Dinner Sid. So Six Dinner Sid is a picture book about a cat called Sid that lives on a street of houses, but goes to each house on the street, and each person thinks that he's their cat. So he's living 6 different lives to get 6 different dinners, and it's very entertaining. So here I have got 10 Cats by Emily Garvett. And we can see all the cats around the book looking quite cheeky. My favourite one is this one here, who's got its eyes looking at its nose and its tongue sticking out. So that one looks quite entertaining. And the second one is called A Gallery of Cats and is written and illustrated by Ruth Brown. So I think this one visits an art gallery with cats, and I've got the cats connected to different portraits and things in different famous paintings, which is quite fun. And 10 Cats is to do with numbers. So looking forward to reading both of those. The next prompt is blue. every year Jack and Shelley do a colour, and it made sense that they went for the colour that was one of Alice's favourite colours, which is blue. This is a book that I would love to own, and I just picture books that it takes a while for me to get a picture book just because I'm greedy and want to read other novels. So this has been on my radar for a long time. And I would like to own it someday, but it's not quite yet. And that is The Proudest Blue. And this, it says, A Story of the Hijab and Family. And it is by, apologies if I pronounce this incorrectly, Ibithenje Muhammad, with SK Ali, and the art is by Hatem Ali. So on the front cover here we have a girl in a blue hijab, and that hijab kind of also fades into like the waves in the sea. And on this little paper boat we have a small girl who I think is her younger sister, staring and smiling, proud of her older sister in her blue hijab. The next prompt is Alice. So this is either a character called Alice, an author called Alice, an illustrator called Alice, or a variant on the name Alice. This is the one I found the hardest. I couldn't think of any off the top of my head picture books that I knew of. So I had a lovely time in my library having a little search, but I really could not find any authors or illustrators called Alice. I thought that was the best way, most productive way of looking, because it tells you on the book. So I have gone for an Alison. So this is One Little Word by Joseph Coleo and Alison Colpoys. And this is from the Children's Laureate 2022-2024. So that's cool. And we have got two children in very bold colours. We have got a black boy with purple glasses, very cool, and another girl with like black hair, and she's got a very bright coloured yellow, gold and purple sparkled top on, and they're both holding their arms out. And then on the back there's a purple monster with teeth. So it's going to be interesting to see what this story is about that is written by Alison. The next prompt is mystery, because one of Alice's favourite book genres was mystery. She was a mystery guru. You have lots of mystery content on her channel. And I have gone with, it's technically my children's book, but I definitely bought it for me, and it definitely will stay on there, and when they no longer want picture books anymore, it will be on my shelf. I got the first, this is actually a second book in the series. I got the first one out of the library. I really should get the first one, but this one you don't need to read them in order. This is called How to Hide a Lion from Grandma by Helen Stevens. And the first book is called How to Hide a Lion. So here we have a little girl with her lion friend and there is a mystery. And you might think the mystery is how to hide a lion from Grandma. But actually, Grandma brings along her own mystery, and I just find this book really funny. Next we have Giant, and this is because Alice's channel is called Alice and Her Giant Bookshelf, and she always starts off her videos by going, and I have way too many books, and one of her things was all about trying to reduce the giant bookshelf down, and at the end of every year she would update you on the numbers to see how much the giant bookshelf had reduced by. So for Giant, I have gone for a book by Tom Percival called The Bridges. If you are familiar with children's books, you might recognise Tom Percival. He is most well known for his emotions books, the most famous one being Ruby's Worry. And then there's a whole other range about jealousy, about anger. So I'm keen to read a slightly different type of book from him. And behind our protagonist, who is holding a book, we have got a large, giant bridge. Oh, and finally, it's connected to this one. Finally, we have the prompt dark. And this is because Alice is a fan of John Classon. And this book here that I have got in my hands is The Rock That Fell from the Sky by John Classon. So I'm going to read this, but I also have another prompt for dark. So John Classon's books, as you can see by the colour palette, it is quite a dark colour palette on here. There is lots of light and shade, but there is not a huge variety of colour. and this is very typical for his art style. Here we can see our two characters, which is a tortoise in a bowler hat, and I believe it is an armadillo in a bowler hat. I am not entirely certain, but I'm going with the interpretation of an armadillo. If you have different ideas on what this second character is, please let me know. Also in a bowler hat. I feel the bowler hat's very relevant. It gives you the vibe of the story. And the colours are very dark. This is a really dark hill. We've got sort of like a pink hued sky that fades into a grey, and there's like a browny grey tones are used to paint the two characters. And John Klassen also has a lot of dark humour in his books. The most dark one, I suppose, being I Want My Hat Back. And that is a hilarious book. If you have not read I Want My Hat Back, you should. I used that as a prompt either last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember when. But this was the first John Klassen book I read. It was one that was bought for my children by my lovely mum Nata, and we find it hilarious. And you will find out. I will tell you for why when I review it. But I've taken dark to mean a completely other thing. This is a book I've had on my list for a really long time. My mum did not know I had it on my list for a really long time, but she saw it, I think at a book sale or something like that, and she was like, ooh, I think Shah would like that. And it was deliberately bought for me, not my children, it's what I love about my mum. We both love picture books. So this one I've known from days when I was a primary school teacher. I thought it was amazing, and it's been on my radar, it's been on my list. So I'm delighted to now have my own copy of The Colour of Home. This is by Mary Hoffman with illustrations by Karen Littlewood. Mary Hoffman is most well known for her Amazing Grace series. So this book, our protagonist is a refugee who had to leave their home because of war and violence. So that is the dark theme of the book. But it's... I can't say anymore. I'm going to give you spoilers. So you will have to wait for when I talk about this book. But yeah, it's done in a very child-friendly way about a very difficult topic. But that theme is quite dark in there, which is why I have chosen it for the prompt dark. So I'm going to start off with the cat books. Let me get them back out again. Here we go. So I'm going to read these, and once I've read them, I will check back in with you and tell you all about them. Well, that was highly delightful. I very much had the gist of 10 Cats once opening it. It's one of those books that explores numbers, but a lot of the joy you get from the book comes from the pictures. So it starts off with all these 10 cats in a line. So here are 10 cats. We have got a white mother cat, and then we have a variety of different kittens. And then we start counting down. We have got our one white cat. And you get to see the characters of the kittens kind of interacting with each other and through their facial expressions and things and what they do. And over here on this page, you can see where the story is going. We have got 3 cans of paint in the primary colours, red, yellow and blue. And the cats are starting to explore these paint cans. I wonder what might happen. And then it talks about that we have different coloured cats. So we have 2 cats of a particular type, 3 of another, 4 with patches, etc. But now as we see the patches ones, we start to notice the paint cans have got their lids off. Mum's just having a nap. I mean, if she's got 9 kids, I totally get it. She's gone into some sort of deep, well-earned sleep. It must be deep because of the children's antics you're about to see. So then we get the first bit of chaos. We are going to find 5 cats with red spots. So if you have children, obviously it's then delightful to start going and go, which cats have got the spots? Can we find all 5? And you have a wonderful counting exercise. As an adult, it's just really fun to kind of like see what the cats are doing. My favourite is this one here. We have got a black and white cat who has got some red spots, but is also quite fascinated by his tail, which is in the paint. And he's swishing it from side to side like a little paintbrush, which is quite cute. And you've got all these little painty strokes there. Mum, meanwhile, is covered in spots. And it goes on, and they get paintier and paintier. And then, of course, because they're primary colours, we get some mixing. So we've now got green because we've mixed them together. We've got utter chaos here. One cat jumping on another. We've got full on like angel, snow angel style things going on. Mum is looking incredibly colourful. She is a work of art with all these lovely paw prints and things going on. And amazingly, still asleep, which is very exciting. Eventually, Mum wakes up. I love the expression here. She looks like she's regretting some life choices. I just love her facial expression. Looking down her nose, eyes very wide as to see the chaos of these very painty coloured kittens who have clearly been having the best time, as all small children do when it comes to messy play. So that was 10 multicoloured cats as the final one. But here, at the end pages, we get to see Mum is back in the game. She's got a bath. She's putting the kittens in one by one. You'll notice she's washing them first rather than herself, because that's what mums do. And then here we can see some lovely fluffy cats, all nice and clean. There's my favourite cat from the beginning, the little grey tabby. She does not look impressed that she's in the bath. She looks like she's having much more fun in the paint. But I love all of the cats enjoying this warm, snuggly towel, having a bit of a grooming, having a bit of a cuddle. So yes, that was lots of fun. A gallery of cats. I'm very pleased I did pick this up. This, I feel, I would enjoy so much more when I research more of these artworks that are spoken about. So it's about this boy Tom, and he goes through an art gallery. And the first painting, we see the cat shape here peel off, and then it comes to join Tom. So there's our little cat on the next page with Tom. He's like, oh, hello. Let's carry on looking through the gallery. I'll read out the labels and tell you what they are. So we've got these famous paintings. I don't recognise these first two at all, so I need to look those up. But here we've got a modern art painting. I am not an arty person. I don't know the phrases of picture, but it's like block colours. Lots of block colours. And the way Tom is talking about the pictures, it's also like it's talking about the cats, like it's a kind of a animal shelter. So of course this one I recognise straight away. We've got a lot of Mexican references, we've got a lot of flowers, and this is called Frida. And it says here, exotic Spanish wildcat cross. So we've got a picture of a cat here. So there's different cat breeds along with different artists. And it says that she's fiery and full of life. And it continues. But what made me laugh out loud was this one. So here we have a self-portrait. And Vincent. So of course this is Van Gogh. And it says, ginger, feral, totally unpredictable, aggressive, watchful, occasionally sociable, but happiest out in the field chasing crows. I just found it hilarious. I just found it really funny. It absolutely tickled me. And it goes on. There is someone of the screen picture with an appropriate cat next to it. And it just made me laugh so much. Just this whole concept of cats needing to be adopted mixed with artists and artists being compared to these cats. It's just hilarious. A Gallery of Cats by Ruth Brown. Go and pick this up. I need to do some art research. I'll be taking the others back to the library after this, but I'm going to be keeping this one because I want to research these artists, because I want the in-jokes. I want to appreciate fully how funny this book is. Okay, next I am going to be reading The Proudest Blue. So I'll see you in a bit. This book did not disappoint. This is a really powerful book. I also really enjoy at the end, you have some lovely representation. So we have a picture here of the author and her sisters, and she gives some sort of background about why she wanted to write this book, about discrimination that she had faced and her sisters had faced for being different, and the othering that people do because you wear something simple like a hijab. And so she wanted to do some really good positive representation to show girls that they are strong and their hijab is beautiful. We also have some notes from the co-author as well, and they both of them have got this really positive message that they wanted to share through writing this book. We also get some more information about Ithabi Mohammed. She is an Olympic fencer and got the bronze medal in the US and was the first hijab wearing woman to compete for the United States. So that's really impressive as well. And I love that it's got that in the back to kind of give further positive representation to girls and boys as well. See strong women everywhere. It's wonderful. And then we have some information as well about Hatem Ali, who also remembers playing with his mother's scarves. So this is a really book of positive representation. What I really like about this is there's so many beautiful illustrations, particularly of when the younger sister is feeling very protective of her older sister and the beauty and the specialness she sees of this first hijab. So the book starts off with the sisters going to buy Asia's first hijab and the beautiful blue and the colour and the strength and the joy that it represents for them. So you have this lovely picture of Asia in her hijab, and the younger sister is comparing it to like a sky on a summer's day. So we've got her face, we've got this look of contentment, and then the hijab has got clouds and stars across it like it is the sky, and it's just really beautiful. And within that you've got it follows this formula of something happens that makes the younger sister feel uncomfortable and sort of slightly, oh, so I've got hair in my mouth. Feeling sort of sorry and slightly worried sorry for her sister, slightly worried about her sister, and slightly baffled about why other people are questioning things. And then we have the comparison to how she sees the hijab. And then you have a little comment about what their mum says. So for the first example, the one with the sky, it starts off with a girl sort of asking what's her sister wearing on her head, and the younger sister whispers, but then she said, but it isn't a whisper. Asia's hijab isn't a whisper. Asia's hijab is like the sky on a summer's day. And then we have a quote from the mum. The first day of wearing hijab is important, Mama has said. It means being strong. And that motif kind of continues throughout the book. And I just really want to show, I really enjoy how the illustration here, all of the children are kind of shown in detail in their different clothes with their different expressions, but the bullies are shown as shadows. So they haven't got any defining features. They are just these silhouette shapes pointing and laughing. And I really enjoy this concept of that they just kind of represent like a meanness or an ignorance rather than like individual people. So I really kind of like that concept and how it's depicted in the book. But it continues along, and it has got just really positive messages about continuing to be strong and what it means to wear a hijab. So it's just a really lovely book. Okay, next we have the prompt Alice. So I'm going to be reading One Little Word by Joseph Coelho and Alison Colpoys. So this was a lovely book talking about sort of feelings and emotions and how having an argument with your friend can make you feel really uncomfortable inside, and it can just, that kind of feeling can also be kind of hanging over the whole of your friends group as well. I really enjoy books when they kind of give a physical appearance to concepts that you can't see. So in this we have an argument. So I mentioned there was a monster. The monster is the physical representation of the argument, and it sits in between these two best friends that have fallen out with each other. And as you go through the book, the words change, like ex-best friend to enemy, and the argument physically grows. So we see the argument getting bigger and bigger in between them. And I really enjoy this, these moments here where there's the physical representation by the argument that it's stopping their fun. Whereas obviously arguments and bad feelings you cannot enjoy yourself because of all those emotions you're dealing with inside, and this kind of guilt and this worry and wanting to kind of make things better. But in here we have a tail stopping a roundabout and a paw stopping a slide, so it's like literally stopping their fun. I really enjoy the colour palette of this book as well. The purples, orange and yellows are kind of really brought out in all of this, and it's very kind of a bold art style. I think this is one of my favourite pictures. I just really enjoy. So the argument has kind of reached its height, and then they're feeling really bad and they start to cry. And here we've got a picture of both children like starting to cry and wiping tears from their face. And then the opposite side of the page, I really enjoy how we've got actual literal teardrops with the children kind of captured inside them and some of the writing inside them as well. I just think it's a really lovely image, and I really love the swirl of purple around the teardrops. You can really just see like the it looks like an oil pastel kind of swoosh around the bottom of the teardrops. And then we have a little full-on physicalization of a sorry, and a sorry is like a little hope, a little glowing ball that we can move past this argument, that there will be forgiveness and we can go back to being friends again. So this little hope coming up, and we then have the joy of the two of them being friends. And it's not only the two of them feeling the joy, all of their friends in their friendship group are feeling the joy that the argument has disappeared because of one little word that can make arguments disappear, which is sorry. So very lovely themes in that one. Right, halfway through, I am moving on to How to Hide a Lion from Grandma, which is the mystery. I always enjoy reading this book. So here we have Iris and her lion. Now, Iris's parents are going away, and Grandma is coming to stay with Iris. Iris is a little bit worried that Grandma might be scared of a lion, so she tries to hide him to make sure that Grandma doesn't notice. She's not too sure where to hide him, and it ends up being a game of sort of spotting what the lion is so that Grandma doesn't notice him as he pretends to blend in with the house. But the mystery we have here is Grandma has arrived in a tiny yellow car, and on top of the car is a ridiculously enormous packing crate. It is the most enormous box I have ever seen. It is possibly 3 times the size of the car on which it is being carried. And Iris is immediately delighted, like, what's inside that box? It's very exciting. Grandma says, oh, just some hacks and bits and bobs. And the parents grumble that there must be some very heavy bits and bobs as they take it upstairs. I just enjoy that phrase, just some bits and bobs, nothing really important. Iris is getting a little bit suspicious. And Grandma is continuously not noticing the lion as he's on the bus behind them when they're gathering their shopping. Grandma has bought a lot of shopping and makes a very enormous snack that she takes upstairs in case she gets a bit peckish. And the mystery continues. Iris starts to hear some very strange noises in Grandma's room and continues to be very curious about what is inside the packing case. And I'm not going to tell you, but it's just a lot of fun when eventually we find out what's in the packing case. And does Grandma also find out that Iris has a lion? I think you should read it and find out. I also enjoy the art style within this book. It's very stylized. There's a lot of kind of like the colours sometimes have like outline around them, but sometimes they're kind of just left where they are. So I just like that you've got that kind of black sort of outline detail that sometimes is present and sometimes isn't, and it just, you know, just gives a warmth to kind of the pictures. I think it's really lovely. Okay, moving on to the penultimate prompt, which is giant. So I will be reading the bridges and checking back in with you once I have. This is a really lovely one. So this very much encapsulates the joy of reading and the power of reading and many things that as readers we love to feel when we read. I also have to say I absolutely love Tom Percival's illustrations. It's a lot more kind of realistic than the previous series that Ruby's Worry was. You really get a sense from the colour of the emotion of the story. So it's a lot of kind of grey tones as Ruby is feeling very lonely. You can also feel it in her family as well, just this sort of like downtrodden feeling that her parents have got. Obviously they've got kind of a lot of worries, they're trying to do a lot of work and not giving a lot of time to, I think it's Mia, just double check, yes, Mia, and not being able to give a lot of time to Mia. And so Mia sees herself sort of like she's abandoned on a lonely island. And this illustration is absolutely gorgeous. I love the purple colours that we've got here. The waves, how they're crashing against the rock. You can really feel the wind and you just really get this sense of isolation. Mia just being sat in the centre amongst this kind of grey purple sea and sky. But then all of this changes when she receives a book. And it's another one of those lovely little things that's here in the illustrations but not said in the text. So previously, when you saw Mia walking with her parents, we spot this lady on a bench reading a book, and she has clocked that Mia doesn't seem to be happy. And here we have the same lady again leaving, having dropped off this book for Mia. And Mia starts reading the story. And then her island doesn't become so lonely and isolated, and we start to get a bridge from the island that grows stronger and stronger and leads her to a library. So here we go, here's the giant bridge. It's getting much bigger. And then in the library, Mia finds so many more books that she can go onto many more places. So the bridge interconnects everything. And there's friendship and adventure, and also the joy of reading brings other like-minded people together. Yes, just like BookTube does. And then she gets the opportunity to pay it forward when she sees another lonely soul here in need of a book. So again, I love the metaphor. I forgot to show you one of my favourite pages. I love the island one, but I also really love this one. So here we have the joy of reading between two friends, and we have this wonderful pirate ship in the forefront here that they are both on. And then here we have our bridges that are towering with big archways, and we've got all these sailing ships, and there's icebergs and all of this adventure, and it just links to all the different places you go and different experiences you have just from reading books. So now I'm going to be reading the books for Dark. So that is the John Klassen, The Rock That Fell from the Sky, and The Colours of Home by Mary Hoffman. Two very different books here. So the John Klassen book, The Rock That Fell from the Sky, has these two characters, a tortoise and an armadillo. There is also a snake that joins them at some point. But the very first thing, funnily enough, as you might expect from a book called The Rock That Fell from the Sky, is a picture of a rock. And it's currently at the top of the page. We presume it is falling. We then spend a little bit of time with our friend the tortoise, who's got a favourite spot that he's standing in. And then we see the rock. It's no longer at the top of the page, it's in the middle of the page. It's continuing to fall. And it's just a double page spread, grey sky with some flat white clouds and a massive rock that's falling. And you get a sense of where this story is going, that some impending doom is about to happen. And in comes the armadillo. The tortoise and armadillo say hello to each other. And the tortoise explains that he's standing in his favourite spot. The armadillo goes on to say that he's got a bit of a bad feeling about the spot and wants to move somewhere else. And what I really like about John Klassen's books is they state things, but there's so much more meaning behind it than what they say. And it just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh so much. So the tortoise and the armadillo discuss spots, and then they're like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, I'm going to come closer. And it's just the way that they just spend the time going from one side to the other and talking about, no, I've still got a bad feeling, I'm coming back. And then I imagine, I think you might guess what happens at some point. So at some point, that rock is going to hit the ground. And what's going to happen when it does? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you find out. But there's 5 different stories within this book. And it kind of, each story kind of plays on the one that from the last. And yes, it's just highly entertaining. I recommend. Completely different note. We have The Colours of Home, which is a very beautifully told and heartfelt book about what it means to move to a new country, fleeing violence. And it's told through the eyes of Hassan, who starts school, and that feeling of being in a different place, in a different culture, and how upsetting he can feel. And we have a little bit of art therapy going on because Hassan starts to paint a picture. I really enjoy the art. It's very bold, bright colours, and you can very much feel like the paint strokes. There is a realistic side to the characters, but then like some of their clothing, you can really see the brush strokes and the different colours and kind of the boldness of it. It's really beautiful. So Hassan is painting his picture, and then the picture takes a bit of a darker turn, and we see that there is a sinister side here where there is a man with a gun in the picture, and then the use of the red paint to show blood. And this then is used as a talking point for Hassan to be able to talk about what's happened in his life previously. But amongst that, there is a sense of, obviously it's a picture book, so it's kind of quite simplified with this idea of trauma, healing, and moving on to hope. It's not going to be as simple as this. We know as adults that it's more complicated. You will have more days of feeling worried. There will be more things going on to help unpack that trauma and to deal with the everything that's happened. But within the sense of this picture book, those stages of sharing, talking, can bring about healing. And from being able to paint this picture, and for Hassan to be able to show his grief, not just of the death, but also just leaving his home, and that change in everything that he's known now being different, and what he misses about it and what he sees. But he starts to see glimmers of hope within his new life, and he paints a new picture that he shares with his family, and he starts to see the colours and the things that they brought with them, and there starts to be a sense of hope about how he continues living. So it's incredibly heartfelt, it's very moving, and obviously yes, it did have that dark theme in there. So I highly recommend this, but obviously when sharing it, be able to be supportive and explore it. It's a lovely kind of talking point, kind of opening up, and I think obviously it links really well with, I've just finished reading the graphic novel When Stars Are Scattered, which looks kind of a lot more in depth at what it means to be a refugee and to be fleeing from war and violence. But this picture book is absolutely beautiful at demonstrating all of those really difficult topics. So there we go, that is my Picture This books all read. Thank you so much, Shelley and Jack, for giving us this opportunity to be able to read picture books, enjoy them, and talk about them. Please let me know what picture books you have been reading and if you enjoyed any of these ones. Happy reading!